Hello and welcome to coverage of the TCGPlayer Max Point Invitational. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Frank Lepore, and we're just underway in the morning here in Vegas. And
early morning.
This is the 8th round of action. We're going to be playing 5 rounds today, and this is the first of those. And we're going to kick things off with David Williams on your right-hand side, sitting at 5-2. Same record on the other side, Seth Manfield. Now, Seth had kind of an interesting route to get here.
Seth was 1-2 when I talked to him yesterday. And he posted on Twitter, he said I talked to Frank Lepore, and I was 1-2, and I told him I was going to put my rally cap on and just play better Magic, and he ended up going 4-0, and ended at 5-2 yesterday, which was great. And super proud of Seth, and glad for him, and here is a 5-2 playing against David Williams, so ended up going well.
So Dave's taking a look at Seth's hand there, sitting right in front of him.
Oh, he took his hand, he's like holding it now.
Yeah, he's
like,
I'm
going to hold on to this for a little bit.
Yeah, talk about seizing it.
So a literal thought, a physical thought seize.
Yeah, so he's going to end up taking away Polukranos and leaving him with a Whisperwood and a Xenagos +3 lands here.
That's interesting. I feel like Polukranos is easier to deal with than Xenagos, so I wonder what Dave's plan is for that. Like Polukranos, you just kill it with a spell, you know, where the Xenagos makes a dude immediately, and then you have 2 things to deal with. But I'm curious to see what Dave has in store.
All right, well, we get a look at part of it here at least. He's got a Warden of the First Tree.
Looks like also has a Fleeceman Lion, a Hero's Downfall. Oh, look at that guy.
Oh, that's a nice draw there for Seth Manfield.
Yeah.
That thing is going to gum up the works here.
Unfortunately for David. He didn't see that one when he thought seized.
No. I don't know if he would have taken it. It's always a tough one to take, but it just does such good work here, yeah. And there's a Fleeceman Lion. He's going to take a damage after playing his tap Sandstep Citadel. Pass the turn back to Seth. So Dave's developing his board out.
Unfortunately, that Deathmist Raptor does a real good job of holding the fort.
It certainly does. There's a Wood Foothills for Seth.
It's funny because he's got tiny little legs. Like, you think you just push him right over.
Yeah. Well, he's either venomous, poisonous, or toxic.
That's true. We have not established which, though.
Yeah. More on that later.
We'll have to get back to you.
Yeah.
So we know he has a Xenagos in hand, so I assume that's what's coming down now. Alright, let's see it. There he is.
Alright, so he's going to make a Satyr here, but we know that Dave Williams has a Hero's Downfall.
The old god of parties himself.
So he can take out the Raptor and send the Fleeceman Lion at Xenagos and force a chump block here. That's one of his possible plays.
See, now my thought was like, if you took the Xenagos, he would have a Polukranos and a Deathmist Raptor. You can Heroes Downfall the Polukranos, and then he just has the Deathmist Raptor. So, but now it's curious because now if he kills the Xenagos, he still has a 2/2 and a 3/3.
Yeah, if he can absolutely do that as well. All right, here's the Thoughtseize.
Oh, a Genesis Hydra. That draws have been very good. Did Genesis Hydra, Deathmist Raptor? Yeah, and Dave knew Seth had the Whisper Elemental, so I think he was like, I'll wait until turn 4, right before you cast a Whisper Elemental, then I'll just take that too. You can see Dave doing some math here.
He's got the land so he can play the Hero's Downfall.
He could, he might be thinking of pumping Warden of the First Tree, then attacking both. And one trades, one eats a Satyr, and then Xenagos is just the guy sitting there with no board for Seth. Oh, he does have the Hero's Downfall.
So he takes down Xenagos. Yeah, but that Raptor draw was really nice for Seth. It's really changed the way this game's played out. If you didn't have the Raptor...
Yeah, it's just like, you might as well have Defender at this point. It's just holding down the fort for Seth, keeping him alive.
Yeah, I mean, Dave would have been able to attack with both. Kill Xenagos.
Yeah. And that's a significant amount of damage. So this is probably saving him about 8 damage.
Unfortunately for Seth, Xenagos is dead. But it resulted in a virtual 2-for-1 here, so
yeah, that's
grind.
Yeah. So I mean, it seemed like at least Seth has something to show for it. So little incremental advantages. Seth is kind of in a pickle here. Not sure what to do. If he doesn't have another land, the most he can do is probably Genesis Hydra for 2, which is probably not worth it, unless you're guaranteed to hit like a Sylvan Caryatid or an Elvish Mystic. Oh, I guess he just drew a Sylvan Caryatid. That seems good too. Makes his Genesis Hydra a little better next turn. If he hits another land, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 mana, so he can Genesis Hydra for 4 if he wants, which is enough to hold most of David's creatures back. But Dave is interested in getting in there. Death Mist Raptors be damned, he says. I will turn these guys sideways. Yeah, he's like, if you're gonna, if I'm gonna block, I might as well make you pay 2 for it.
And this is a fairly significant tempo hit here.
Yeah. Prevents Seth from playing, or David from playing Siege Rhino, which we know he has in hand. And we does have a Roxasha Death Dealer, though. That's pretty good, so he just gets to replace that guy.
Yeah. That's,
oh, with the second Fleeceman Lion. So his hand was Fleeceman Lion, Death Dealer, and Siege Rhino, which is pretty solid.
Yeah, the hand looks fantastic here. When he hits his next land drop, he can start monster-seeing Fleeceman Lions, which can be an issue for Seth.
And all of these creatures in the Abzan deck are just super resilient. Like, they regenerate, they go monstrous, they can pump, or they're just Siege Rhinos.
Yep. Yeah, but here's a Genesis Hydra for 4.
Alright, 1. Well,
right.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Corsair Crew Fixes are going to be the hit here.
There could be a land on top, maybe? I'm pretty sure Seth played a land for the Genesis Hydra, so probably doesn't want to land on top, probably wants, like, anything else. We'll just save that land till next turn. What was that thing we were saying?
Yeah, you were saying that yesterday. Man, I think you might be right.
Always a Sylvan Caryatid on top when you got a Corsair out. It's a rule of the universe.
Alright, he gets to rumble with both of these. Though this does present an awkward situation for Dave, because it does let Seth pick off one of them if he prioritizes that.
He can double block one, he can block the other one with a 4/4, and then it also lets David choose what he wants to kill.
Yeah, and he gets to kill the Corsair if Seth does go for the double block and single block.
And we know Seth is just drawing a Sylvan Caryatid, which is like basically a time walk almost for David Williams.
Yeah.
So Seth taps, plays Sylvan Caryatid, and then pass back.
It's aggressive play from Dave, though. I mean, he also could sit back, monstrous end step, then attack with both and monstrous the other.
Yeah.
But this play does allow Seth to mitigate one of these.
Yeah, and I think Seth knows he has to, like, try to pick off one. But I feel it stands to reason that the other one that becomes monstrous and survives is going to be real hard to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Seth's deck can just put up bigger threats.
Yeah.
It does have that ability. It also has chump blocks for days.
And then David has a wall, though, for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so Seth is going to go ahead and make this play.
Yep, and those are the blocks we assumed were going to happen.
Yeah, so Dave's going to eat...
Kill the Corsair.
A Corsair
gives him advantage. Gives him like life gain advantage
in
too.
This transaction. It's a pretty big hit for Dave.
Plus Dave's at 11, and Seth can actually come back for 6. Puts him at 5.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
No, it's not.
That's what Seth agrees.
Seth is like, well,
if you're going to give me the initiative here, I'll take it.
Yeah, he's taking it, because remember, he's got these 2 Caryatids that
and they block
blocking duty. So
for days.
Yeah, this is going to put Dave Williams on the defensive. He's not going to be able to attack here too easily. I think
we're going to play Dr. Rhino here. Dr. Teeth would be Psychotog.
I mean, this attack doesn't really get a lot done here. Does 4 damage.
Well, at least Siege Rhino's in a good position to block the Genesis Hydra here,
Yeah, that's true. It does hold it back. It just puts him in a little bit of a spot.
I think Siege Rhino would be, like, the one extra point of toughness from being a 4/4 to a 5/5 is just huge.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Every little bit helps.
Like, it's just, that one little point makes it such a different card.
And it looks like Seth has drawn nothing for the turn, just a forest, so...
Look at this one unhinged land and all these other different basic forests. I'm gonna have to have a word with Seth after this.
Yeah, that's pretty offensive.
I'm not feeling good about it.
Alright, now Dave gets to keep beating down here, though. He's back up to 7, which is just perfect.
It's funny because he's not dead
to the crackback.
2 different corners turn. You know, like first when Seth was attacking, putting David to 5, and now, you know, you just got stuck, and now it's David's turn. I will swing back.
I think one of the Caryatids is pretty free to block here. He still would have mana, plenty of mana left over for.
Yeah, he has 8 right now.
Yeah,
so
for like a Tarka off the top.
Going down to 7. Actually, losing 1 Caryatid here would be just fine. Yep, Seth agrees. He's also at 9. 9 is not nothing. Like,
he's going to triple block the Rhino here.
Interesting. Oh, he's actually blocking with all the Caryatids because he's probably assuming that the Siege Rhino is not going to kill the Caryatids, so might as well just soak up trample damage in case David has something crazy. Like an Abzan Charm and a Bile Blight.
Dave's draw has been pretty clean here.
Yeah, that's a lot of good creatures.
Seth really needs to find some action here off the top of his deck. Let him down a little bit.
A Tarka would be amazing here because you can shoot the Fleeceman Lion and the Rakshasa Death Dealer.
Yeah, it would be unbelievable if he top decked an Tarka
my God.
here.
This is 7.
This also could be a Hydra, but...
and David was grabbing for his Fleeceman and his Rakshasa Death Dealer. He's like, are they...
I mean, that would basically be game if he top decked it.
Oh, he's making more.
No, it's going to be a Hydra.
It's a Hydra.
Right?
Oh,
no, it is a Tarka. Unbelievable.
He just wanted to keep the Sylvan Caryatid up.
What a huge top deck for Seth. Unbelievable.
Wow,
David was completely in the driver's seat there, and Seth found exactly the card he needed at exactly the right time.
That was
you can see the head shake from Dave.
He was like,
that's
well,
got to be
right
frustrating
there. What
from his standpoint.
I mean, Dragonlord Tarka lives in the deck. He's going to show up every now and then.
Yeah.
It's like that guy just having a quiet evening at home. He just knocks on your door. Hey man, you want a party? Sometimes you do want a party, but David did not want a party.
Let's jump over to not Seth Manfield and David Williams.
This looks like the same game except for reverse.
This is
you got a Dragonlord of Sylvan Caryatid over here.
Yeah, this is Nolan versus
it's a Chris Finel, I think.
It's Finel, yes, that's correct.
And we have, he just flipped up a Whispered Elemental that was manifested. Presumably from another Whisperwood Elemental. So it's just like the reading. It's just a,
can't be good for the opponent.
It's a little Whispered Elemental mitosis there. Should get some manifest tokens on those guys. Just so we know what's not a hand and what's an actual 2/2. Get some Rashad Miller, Son of Man, manifest tokens.
He needs to get some Son of Morph tokens going too.
Pointed out that Rashad Miller calls those Son of Man Ifest tokens. That's my mind is blown. It's brilliant. That's some fine marketing.
We know,
right there.
Frank. We know.
Fantastic. It's like I will snap block.
Chris Finel shows his intentions here. I'm capable of blocking. End step trigger.
There's a lot of mana.
You can hear them laughing.
I think Lauren has 9 mana. But we know he just has a Rattle Claw in hand, so he's just like, I'm playing face up. I don't need to be fancy.
I wonder why you do that.
Did he not look?
He hasn't yet.
That's interesting. I'll look immediately, right? I want to know what my options are.
I like waiting.
Really?
Yeah, you got to get the sweat.
I'll make them sweat. I don't have to be sweating myself. For sparring is uncomfortable.
All right, let's see what he hit here.
Looks like it is something.
Oh, it's something. Is it his own Dragon Lord Atarka?
It's...
No.
No. It is the scoop phase. He manifested the scoop phase, it looks like.
Yeah. Turned it face up,
which
too.
does not use the stack. You might be interested
That's
in
true. All right, so let's jump back over here to Dave Williams versus Seth Manfield. They had a nice close game one, punctuated by Seth top decking a Dragon Lord Atarka.
And Seth's been on a tear recently. Like he had the top 8 at the GP, top 16 at Grand Prix.
You mean the PT?
Yes, that's what I said. What did I say the first time?
GP.
Okay, I did mean the PT. But if you guys are looking for anything Magic related or otherwise, HeroClix, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Card Fight, Vanguard, you head on over to TCGPlayer.com, the largest marketplace for collectible gaming products, and check it out. Pick up some stuff. Pick up some Magic swag.
Well, I got to get my Card Fight Vanguard collection all rounded out.
Those games are like super popular in like areas that we don't even know
what it is.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm not too familiar with it either, but
what is it? Do you know, like, what kind of game is it?
I assume from this Mega Man character that it's kind of like a
But is it like one of the ones where you like do something physical and have a
I don't know actually.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like they'll have like a figures or like a top or something, or
I think it's just a card game. I think it's just a card game.
Right.
I know it's funny.
Like I said, I haven't really
went Pokemon, HeroClix, and Yu-Gi-Oh. So you'll get there.
Yeah,
it takes time, to build a
step
sizable.
One is seeing a card from that game.
That's a good step one.
I'll take it from there.
But that's a good goal. You got to outline your plan. The Max Point Invitational apparently brought to you by Simply Balanced, David Williams' beverage of choice.
He's pretty intense today.
I feel he is, yeah. He looks like he's very much in the zone. David's got the poker face on today.
Alright, well, he's ready to rumble here and try to take down 2 games in a row against Manfield.
I feel like that last draw from Manfield was indicative of his end of day yesterday. I guess if he's just drawing a Tarka off the top, then that's how you're winning these games. So the trend just continues into today. Sees you. Sometimes you got to thought seize the day.
Looks like Seth's gone over the top a bit here. I see an Ugin.
Yeah, there's an Ugin in there.
Yeah, Den Protector.
There's an Atarka. And 2 Ramp creatures and a Den Protector. That's a very good hand.
Pretty nice little hand right here.
You can't, if you take a Ramp creature, he just has another one. You can take one of the big threats, but he just has another one. This is like the perfect hand to get thought seized for Seth because...
So I like this play from Dave. He's going to go after his mana. And he's got another thought seize in his hand. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him take the Rattleclaw here. Yeah, and just strand a 7 and an 8 drop in Seth Manfield's hand for as long as possible.
And he gets a little scry. Remember when Scrylands were first revealed and people were like, this is not good enough to be rare? Yeah. That was a little foolish.
Let's see what he drew.
Looks like a Death Miss Raptor again off the top for Seth Manfield.
That is it.
He's quite good at drawing those right after a thought
So here goes the Rattleclaw. You can see where Dave's going with this.
Yep, Dave's like, you're going to have to just play fair now. Sorry.
Now the question is, can Dave back this up?
He's at 6. He's at 16 with no creatures, so...
Yeah, he's used his first 2 turns to develop his mana and thought seize Seth both times. But look, if he can play like a Fleece Mane or...
He's definitely going for an
Offenza here, I think would probably be the best case scenario.
And an Offenza would be great. A 4/4 for 3 that just... Seth can't even block it profitably. I guess with Death Miss Raptor he could, but it's just going to get through every other card. It's going to get through Sylvan Caryatids or...
There it is.
Rattleclaw Mystics.
On Offensive the foremost. Let's see if Seth can hit this Death Miss Raptor and stem the bleeding.
Temple of Abundance.
Yeah, he's lucky he's got that, but...
If it's so abundant, why does it come into play tapped?
I think it's abandoned.
You're right. What's the Temple of Abundance? Is that a thing? I always used to get that confused,
Plenty.
actually.
There's Temple of Plenty.
Well, that's...
Also comes into play.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very plentiful.
Alright, so Anafenza gets in there for 4 damage. Follow up Fleece main line here. Alright, so you can see how Dave's plan has come together for him here. He's got another Temple of Abandon. And this has been a slow draw for Seth, thanks to Dave, who kind of pushed both of those mana creatures out of his hand, and has now put up effectively 8 power, maybe even 9 if Dave wants to hit a land and monstrous it off, and he's just going to crush Seth.
Yeah,
if Seth
and
can't get,
the consistent tokens from Anafenza, or the consistent counters from Anafenza on his whatever creature in this situation, Fleece main line, is just huge.
Yeah. Now, if Dave has a removal spell here, that would be huge.
That would be backbreaking.
Yeah, he doesn't. What he does have, though, is another Anafenza, so I think he's hoping that Seth blocks Anafenza. Now, did Dave miss his trigger here? Yeah, it looks like he did.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think he just forgot about it. Exiled.
Oh yeah, because of the Anafenza.
That's right.
Probably won't be relevant, but
yeah,
it's worth at least.
Yeah, but that +1/+1 counter not being on the Fleece mains.
That's relevant.
That's a thing. You know, sometimes Seth's deck can just produce such big threats. Oh, there's one incoming. What is this, an elf? Alright, Elvish Mystic. Fire it back over
like, I mean, in a regular situation, you know, Courser of Krufix could probably block Fleece main line for a couple turns, unless, I mean, obviously now Seth can, or David can monstrous it, but usually, oh, that's, well,
so
that's
fight
just
that, yeah, this is great for Dave. Those are exiled, he says, and now he's going to remember his trigger.
There you go.
And there we go.
Seth goes to 5.
Crunch in for 8.
See, and here's the thing, Seth goes to 5. He would be at 4, so...
Which would make both of these threats lethal. Yes. This could get really interesting. Yeah, the Whisperwood's coming off the top, but I don't think Seth's going to be able to cast it.
Yeah, I think he's down a mana.
I think he's just dead, right? Like, because aren't the 2 cards in his hand...
It's a Tarka and Ugin.
Dragon and Ugin, yeah. He's got 1 extra card, though. If it's a land, then he's okay, but I don't think it is. It's something, though. Oh, it's Den Protector.
That's right, he did have the Den Protector.
So he does get to chump with Den Protector and set up the potential to top deck a land here.
Yeah.
Oh. No, that was a self-inflicted wound, I think, but that's not going to do it here.
Yeah, and that's which is smart for Seth to just play it as a face down, because then it's self-inflicted wound proof.
Wow, and here we go, Seth Manfield at 1. We mentioned this.
I don't think yeah, if he drew a land, he could play Whispered Elemental and then...
Yeah, but, you know, going to your point previous, though.
Which one?
Missed the damage.
Yeah, which is relevant. Seth was at 1. He got an extra turn out of it.
Yeah, he bricked, so it didn't matter.
But that's not the point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, not like the point. You are correct.
It just happened to work out that way.
Yeah.
He did give Seth an extra turn there. Oh, we come in just in time to see Lauren Nolan activate a Nissa and get in there with it. Well, not the Nissa itself. You know, the forest. You guys know what's going on. That's so hard to deal with. Like, if your board is Courser and Sylvan Caryatid, like, and your opponent just threatens to make infinite 4/4 forests, like, that's a real hard proposition to deal with.
Indeed.
Yep, Courser attacks Nissa goes to 2, but that's... Arbor Colossus is a good dude.
Arbor Colossus has keyword big.
He does have keyword big, and he has, actually, the keyword...
Bigger?
He has big naturally, and then the keyword is bigger.
Yeah, bigger.
Yeah, he has an activated ability of bigger.
Yeah, I like activating bigger.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like Lauren can make 8 mana this turn. Untap 2 forests. Unfortunately, Arbor Colossus gets around to Dragonlord Atarka. Dragonlord shoots Arbor Colossus, and then Arbor Colossus is just like, I'll be good.
Yeah, Arbor Colossus
that is all you have.
Really does operate in a kind of cool area.
Yeah.
It doesn't die to a target.
It's a
can
6/6.
Block it, can kill it,
it has
kill
3
dragons.
green mana in its cost, which is good for devotion. Like, it's a very interesting card.
Sick anti-dragon tech.
It's very green. It's a very green card.
Yeah, it's the greenest.
Hey, buddy, Force of Nature is the greenest.
Same casting
Actually,
cost, right?
Colony Hydra is the greenest.
Yeah, that's true.
No, Force has 4 green mana in its casting cost.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
It's GG too?
Yep. Isn't Colony Hydra 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had Chroma, I think. It was it's the very first, like, green devotion card. Rashad's checking it out. He's like, I don't even.
Rashad loves green cards.
He's a green lover.
Oh, he is.
He's a fan of the earth. Oh man, look at this. The old Pelucranos plus Whisperwood Elemental turn. Don't forget to use that Nissa. I'll cry. See, what Nolan can do here is actually untap 4 forests, which is really only 2 forests. And if he had another Nykthos, he could play that and make like 1,000,000 mana. But we only have 1 card. It's it's an unexciting Wooded Foothills. I think he's just gonna make a 4/4 here. But if you had that Nykthos, it would actually go a long way towards Pelucranosing something. One has 3 4/4s and a 5/5 and a 2/1 and an 0/3 and an active Nissa and a Manifest. Let's make sure we can get a Manifest on that Manifest creature. Son of Manifest.
And that Colossus is doing serious work here. Look at this board state for Nolan.
Yeah, it's just hard to. You can't do anything about it. You can't swing into it.
It's like Finel's doing math.
Why does the Arbor Colossus not see more play?
I don't know. It seems to be in the sideboards of these red-green decks.
6/6.
Or I should say green-red decks. These are heavy, heavy green, as you can see.
Remember back in the day, 6/6s for 6 actually had an upkeep. And now 6/6s for 6 don't cost 6, they cost 5, and they have 2 abilities. Like, Magic, you're a funny game.
Yeah, they have 2 good abilities, too.
Yeah, they're both very relevant. Yeah. Reach and being a 9/9.
And killing a flyer, yeah.
Yeah, those are all relevant. It's almost 2 abilities, actually.
Yeah.
Monstrous is kind of 2 abilities. Makes them bigger and has an effect.
Alright, let's jump back to a main match here.
Switch on over to the Seth Manfield, David Williams match.
Looks like par for the course here.
Thoughtseize every game.
Yeah, so let's see now what Seth Manfield has.
Oh, this hand is
he's got a junker here.
I have to assume that David is going to take the Sylvan Caryatid here. Strand Seth with 4 lands and an Ugin. Ugh.
Wow. Yeah, so a lot of pressure on his draw step here. We've seen Dave do this before.
That's the
and Dave, all he needs is a 2-drop here to really start pushing things forward. You know, it looks like he sideboarded into a bit more of a controlling.
That's the curse of Ugin right there. So like you always want like to cast an Ugin, but you never want it in like your opening 3 draw steps or hand.
And this looks like a bummer here for Dave. He doesn't have any pressure.
I think that makes it a little more fair actually. Jeez. I mean, Seth, I feel like Seth got lucky if that's the case.
I think you're right.
Looks like we might actually have a reasonable game instead of like a complete blowout.
Yeah, if Dave had something like an Anafenza or even just a Fleece Mane Lion, Seth would be taking huge chunks of damage, but
David has several forms
a bunch
of like 2 or 3 mana creatures.
Cards. Yeah.
And he hasn't drawn any of them.
Yeah, he's all Dromoka's commands.
2 Dromoka's commands and an Abzan charm, it looks like. So, I mean,
lands,
if Seth plays something, it's probably dead, but...
Yeah, if this is a Courser or whatever, he can fire off.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, just one mode is fine. Yeah. I'll like put a +1/+1 counter on his Courser and then make him sacrifice it.
Right.
For the lulz. But it's still not pressure, you know.
Right.
Like for all we know, Seth could have the time to build up to that Ugin and then just play Ugin. Because Dave doesn't even have a threat in his hand.
Seth has to have breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that second untapped land here for Dave and no play at all.
Yeah, and then Dave's like, go ahead. And you're like, what?
Yeah. No Xenagos here for Seth. There's another Thoughtseize for Dave, so it looks like he can keep him off of like maybe a Whisperwood if that's what Seth's drawn.
Or even that Ugin. Ugin is scary against Dave's deck. It exiles all the creatures that he has.
Well, that's the thing, is that if he fires off the Thoughtseize, he can take a potentially earlier threat than Ugin, but he knows that worst case he's going to get the Ugin.
Right, so he knows, he knows he's going to hit something.
Right, it looks like Dragonlord Atarka was the other draw, so an absurdly high draw here.
So, I mean, actually, David can just wait till he plays Dragonlord Atarka and then exile with Abzan Charm that we know he has.
Yeah, but it does get interesting because let's say things go well for Dave and he draws a couple of threats.
Yeah, you don't want to not play them.
Yeah, you want to be able to play them out and not have Seth play Dragonlord Atarka, kill a threat or two, and then you have an answer for it. That's fine.
But the damage is done, you know?
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him take the Dragonlord.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, I just feel like...
Yeah, I think Ugin is a better long-term game.
That is the case. It's just... Like, how does this game play out for Dave, right? Like, I guess he can play around it by just not playing creatures, but that's just not a great game plan against what Seth is doing. Seth is one good draw step away from, just some absurd board.
Seth is also, it's up 4 life right now, so he's winning the life race. Oh, 5 life. I mean, 14 more fetch lands for David, and he's just done, Yeah,
that's how you see this playing.
Yeah, he can't even crack the 14th fetch land. Oh, man.
He's going to draw 2 with his Abzan.
So 12 fetch lands.
Oh, he's going to need to find some action.
Well,
because
this is definitely going to help.
Well, Seth is only 2 turns away from just casting Dragonlord Atarka. This is going to prevent Dave from developing his board, and it's a massive threat that he just used his main answer on. That Abzan Charm was his kill for Atarka.
Nothing feels better than drawing 3 cards in a row. It looks like he hit Ultimate Price. Maybe another Dromoka's Command and a Hero's Downfall? Oh, I think there's an Anafenza in there.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Downfall, but on Offensive for sure.
Yeah, there's a Hero's Downfall. It's the last card. I think it's the last card in his hand right behind.
Oh, okay.
It's right behind Ultimate Price. No, that's a dude. That is a dude for Atarka to just slaughter.
Now, he is going to get a chance to get in there with it.
Well, here's another thing. David has 2 Dromoka's commands.
What did Seth draw? Seth drew Pelucranos off the top.
David could actually double Dromoka's command. Like, Dromoka's command, +1/+1 counter, Dromoka's command, +1/+1 counter, and fight, killing Pelucranos, and then he's also out of range of the Atarka.
That is true. He still has to kill Atarka, though.
Well, yeah, he does have the Hero's Downfall in hand, though. Yeah, he could just ride this 6/6 to victory.
Yeah, I think you just use your Ultimate Price on the Pelucranos here, like, just because you have a good target for it.
But, but then Seth just untaps, plays Atarka, and kills the Anafenza, right?
Well, you could still put the 2 +1/+1 counters.
He doesn't have the mana now. Oh, he does get to play a land.
I think so. He has green-white.
Okay, yep.
There you go.
He does.
So, I mean, that's not an ideal play, and it doesn't actually set him up that well either.
But the thing is, if you're already going to play the 2 Dromoka's commands anyway, you might as well save the Ultimate Price and kill the Pelucranos with one of the commands, right?
Maybe. I don't see what Dave comes up with here.
Because with being a 6/6, like, you just can't...
It doesn't attack
can't do anything.
Through the dragon. And here it is. So this is the play that he knew was coming.
Let's see if he does it. 3. Okay, Hero's Downfall. Interesting. Doesn't save the Anafenza.
Just didn't have the mana for all of it.
Well, no, you can double Dromoka's command this turn, make Anafenza 6/6, and then just kill the dragon on your turn, right?
He could.
And then you attack for another 6.
Yeah, looks like he's prioritizing keeping that those Dromoka's command in hand, even though currently they don't look very hot.
It's just that knowing Seth's deck, there's nothing he can really do against a 6/6. Like, he just doesn't have lightning strikes or anything,
Right.
So now David just has 2 Dromoka's commands in hand, and that's not... right now, it's not going to really do much. If Seth draws like a Courser, it's cute, but I'd still rather have a 6/6. That's just going to close out the game. And like in this matchup, Dromoka's command is actually a little narrow. Seth's creatures are all bigger. It doesn't deal with planeswalkers. It doesn't prevent damage from like a sorcery or an instant or a sorcery.
And there's Pelucranos.
And yeah, Dromoka's command's not going to do it.
Yeah, this is a tough spot now for Dave.
But the 6/6 would still be crashing through. I feel like that was the crucial decision this game.
All right, well,
Siege Rhino's good.
Siege Rhino, that's a great draw for him.
Actually, Siege Rhino and Dromoka's command this turn. No, that still wouldn't do it. Because, well, maybe. I think they would trade.
He can get his Pelucranos up to 6/6.
Yeah, so like he would make the Siege Rhino a 5/6. They would both fight, and then Siege Rhino would end up killing the. They would just trade. So it's still a 2-for-1 in Seth's favor. Yep, 13-12 now. Davis turned the tide by 1 life point here. And the thing about, like, okay, so I'm gonna go back to that play that I was suggesting. If he would still have ultimate price in hand, so he could actually attack with the 6/6 Anafenza. Seth would attempt to block and then Pelucranos for 1 to trade. No, actually, the Pelucranos would die in response, wouldn't it? No, they would just trade.
Yeah, he could also just straight up ultimate price of Pelucranos and then just attack.
Yeah, the Pelucranos would actually die because he would take. It would deal 1 to Anafenza.
I'm just saying he wouldn't even let him block.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would wait for him to tap out, though. No, I guess, no, don't let him block.
Yeah, you just don't let him block.
But, like, now they're going to trade. Now it's a 2-for-1 for... Oh, he has the... He could cast both Dromoka's commands.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so Dave had enough mana to do both things. Well, that is a sizable Siege Rhino.
He did it in response here.
Yeah, he's like, Siege Rhino becomes a 5/6. It fights your Pelucranos.
It fights, the thing dies. And then the other one will try to resolve and put another counter on it. Obviously won't be able to fight, but he'll get both counters out of the deal.
Yeah, that's good. That's gonna be hard for Seth to deal with here.
Yes, similar play to what you described earlier.
Yeah. It's still, yeah, that works out very well for Seth, or for David, actually.
But he needed to have the Siege Rhino, which he top-decked.
Yeah, he needed a
put
creature.
Himself in a spot with no creatures and 2 Dromoka's commands. He got the Siege Rhino, was able to set up this play.
Oh, if only we still had that Ugin, that'd be solid. Ugin solves all your problems. The old Spirit Dragon.
Oh,
wow,
man.
That's a good one.
What a huge
for
draw.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1 mana shy of the...
and he hit a Deathmiss Raptor. Yeah, last card off was the most important there, so...
I could definitely see, if he had 1 more mana, I could definitely see that Atarka being a little preferable to the Deathmiss Raptor, but Deathmiss Raptor's going to hold down the fort pretty well. Unfortunately, Siege Rhino is a 6/7, so if he does have a way to deal with Deathmiss Raptor, that Genesis Hydra's not blocking very profitably.
So let's see if Dave finds a way to deal with it.
He's in top deck mode.
He had to use up his Dromoka's commands last turn. Draws his card for the turn.
I think it was a land.
Does not immediately snap anything off, so you got to figure he can't be that good.
I mean, even, like, it's still a pretty fair game right now. Like, David attack for 6, Seth attacks back for 6. If he has a blocker, he just blocks the Siege Rhino. And then David's at 6, so he can't take another hit from Genesis Hydra. Yeah, I think it was just a land for Dave. This game has been back and forth. It's emotionally draining, Marshall. I can't take it.
It's been a great match.
Yep, he's like, I'm just going to get in there with this guy. That leaves the door open for David to crack back.
Makes you wonder what he drew. Is it Whisperwood?
Whisperwood. Oh, wow, jeez. These draws for Seth are insane.
Wow.
And a carry added. Manifesto. Look at that. The secrecy there. For... Oh, look at that. Automatically puts the manifest counter. Good guy,
Seth. This is a huge swing for Seth Manfield.
I think it's
now all of a sudden is in the driver's seat.
It looked like David drew a Sorin. He does have one Sorin in the sideboard, so that could very well be
it. Okay.
It looked like it. It looked like a gold planeswalker.
It doesn't do enough here, does it?
I mean, it gives Caesar a lifelink, but that's not... I mean, you just double block, right, and kill it, and then he has no creatures. You attack back, you can kill the...
Yeah, and you just put a Manifest and a Hydra in front of it.
Yeah, let's... There he is. The old solemn visitor himself. Where's Sorin come from? Where's his home plane? Innistrad?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Though he vacations frequently.
He does. He's a solemn visitor quite often. Solemn world traveler.
And Dave's now on the defensive here. He's plussed his Sorin and just passed the turn back, leaving that Siege Rhino on blocking duty. But Seth Manfield just doesn't really have any big incentive to do much here. He can just be like, yeah, sure. Maybe attack with the Raptor, maybe not, and you can just pass the turn back even.
Yeah, and then you're getting to a point where like these Manifest creatures are just going to take over.
Yeah.
But this Deathmist Raptor can just keep pecking away. I mean, you can trade, but you have no more creatures if you're David.
So Raptor's in there.
He's like,
Dave goes down to 6. Oh my god, and there's a Dragon Lord Atarka to kill Sorin and put up lethal next turn, and Dave is not going to be happy with this turn of events.
I have a distinct feeling that there's nothing Dave can draw right there in that situation.
Yeah, that's going to do it. So Seth Manfield wins his match against Dave Williams.
Haymaker after haymaker from Red Green Devotion.
Yeah, Seth turned the corner on that game, and it kind of looked like this, except for only on one side of the table. As this one sits, my goodness, what is going on here?
And we have some slips on the Manifest tokens for sake of convenience, as they were probably known from Courser of Prefix. So it makes Chris's life a little easier.
I see that there's a, on Finel's side, he's got a Hornet Queen.
One, yeah, with no babies.
Well, they're right there, I think.
Oh, they're on the side, yeah. Why don't we should have some insect tokens over there. Yes, this is I feel like Hornet Queen's pretty good for Chris. Like in this match you always want to go over the top and play like these huge threats, and like insect tokens block them all. Trade. Fair trade.
I like that from Chris.
Interesting. Why not just block with 1B? They're tapped, that's why.
Yes, that is Rashad's hand.
Oh, man. Are they tapped or untapped? If they were untapped, why would you trade the
we don't know life totals, you know. Like, that could have been a huge chunk of Finel's life.
Oh, because he has trample, too. You're right. I always forget about the trample.
Yeah, Flample, remember.
It's because it's never, like, you're never blocking that guy, you know? So it's like, that never comes up. No one has like a 5/5 flyer that they're blocking with and taking 2, so it's always either it gets through or it dies before it gets through, so yes. A fine play then. I take back my initial statement.
Interesting Crater's Claw sitting on top of the library there for Nolan.
Yeah, it's gotta be scary to know that's just sitting there.
Yeah, he could fire that off for...
Chris has, Lauren has
1 million.
A Nykthos, a Sylvan Caryatid. Got a Genesis Hydra and a Xenagos under these Manifests, which is real sad. Neither of those are going to do much.
Well, it looks like Finel's at 21 life. He's up a game here against Lauren. And here's Xenagos the Reveler now. So...
Thank you.
These guys have found themselves in a bit of a stalemate, it looks like.
Yeah, I think this is what happens frequently with the Devotion mirror matches.
Yeah, like what is supposed to happen here? Somebody's supposed to go over the top, right?
Polukranos is kind of a trump. Like, I mean, you get to choose selectively what you want to kill.
Oh my goodness. Is he going to fire off this Polukranos right now?
The other thing is interesting that
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana. that he gets off of Nykthos?
That's a 6-point Polukranos.
Make it 14. I didn't see that caryatid down there.
If he hasn't activated Xenagos, he could also add
Infinite.
6, 7, 8, 9 mana, 10 mana with a Sylvan caryatid. Yeah, that's a lot. That's borderline 1,000,000 mana. Another reason it's interesting he blocked Arbor or the Atarka when he's at 21 is because he could just monstrous Arbor Colossus and kill it. Is that a thing?
It works.
Oh, yeah. I think he plus Xenagos there. That's 9. So he went for the big 19 mana Polukranos activation there.
So he's got 9 damage to throw around here. So he could kill like the Courser and both of the Manifests.
Or he can kill a Courser and a Courser and a 4/4.
Yeah.
And then he also gets a 14/14.
Right, there's also that, which looks pretty darn good on this board actually. It gets to start chewing through real creatures quite quickly.
So yeah, he decided to deal 4 to Courser and I imagine 5 to the Rattleclaw Mystic, in case it was a Polukranos or a Whisperwood Elemental. If he just dealt 2 to it or even 4 to it, there's a potential of Lauren flipping it up and making it a big creature.
Right.
So I think he's like,
Chris is finally going to start getting in there with his
insects.
Yeah, with his flyers.
So Chris is like, this is the one manifest I don't know of, so I'll just make sure it's not something big that you can flip up and get value out of.
Alright, so back a couple of the flyers, gets in there for 4. Lauren Nolan drops below 20 for the first time this game.
It looks like Chris is in the driver's seat here. He has an active Xenagos, an Arbor Colossus, a 14/14 Polukranos, a Courser of Krufix, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 power in the air. Oh, and also a 7/7 Genesis Hydra.
Yeah, don't forget that guy.
Just FYI.
See a David Williams walking by here. He looks a little less salty than I thought he would, to be honest.
He's a good sport.
Yeah.
This is Lauren's got a bunch of 4/4s, but
those are normally quite impressive, but not on this board.
Not on this
Finel
situation.
has gone decisively over the top here.
Those are like the 2 worst cards you want manifested, the Xenagos and the Genesis Hydra.
Yep.
Flip it up, make it 0/0.
Those are not the ones you want. So are we going to see another... Looks like time of the round just went.
These guys are going to have a little extension, but the fact that they're in game 2 with Chris up a game, that doesn't bode well for Lauren. They have a 3-minute extension, so I don't think Lauren's going to be able to win this game or a third game in 3 minutes. This is a desperation attack if I've ever seen one.
Well, these are tapping for mana.
Oh, okay, we're casting a Genesis Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is a desperation Genesis Hydra then.
And he hit a Polukranos with it, though.
I'm pretty sure Chris can just alpha here and maybe.
You know, Chris doesn't have a lot of incentives to do that.
No. I think you're in a fine position if you just wait this one out.
I think he can just sort of sit back.
Yeah. I mean, Chris wins in 3 turns with bees alone. That's 6 power. You know, Nolan's at 18. Like, that's 3 turns.
There's a Sylvan Caryatid jumping out of the trees there.
That's the old flash surprise ambush Sylvan Caryatid. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Interesting to note, Xenagos can +1 to make 10 mana. Not an irrelevant amount. Jeez.
This board state's a bit absurd.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Nolan here.
No, he's... Yeah, he needs overrun or something stupid.
Yeah, but I don't even know if that's going to do it in this situation.
Not playing it, yeah. I mean, it is a little scary. You know, you're sitting on Chris Finel's side, and Lauren Nolan does have infinite power on the board, so he's got to be careful with it.
Right. With great power comes great responsibility.
He wants to attack, but I just don't really see a huge incentive.
We know he has
the
Crater's Claws in hand.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if Finel knows about it or not.
If this is a comment, no, because he knows because we know because he had the Core Surf crew fix out at the time and it was revealed on top.
It was revealed. That's what I wasn't sure about.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it was a Comet Storm, can you imagine if Comet Storm was legal right now? You're just like multi-kick, just take out like 14 guys with a Nykthos. I'll deal 2 and I'll multi-kick it 9 times.
Finel's really in the tank here. This is a complicated board, but he's going to have to make a play.
You can even just pass here if you're Chris, right?
Yeah, he could totally just pass here. He wants to keep moving his game plan forward, though. He does have the advantage on board as it sits.
I mean, I feel like with 3 minutes on the clock, both players know that this game is probably not going to end. Unless Chris forces it. Unless Chris makes a really bad play here and puts Nolan in a position to take the game. But
yeah, so eventually he's decided just to say go. He's exactly trying to avoid what you just said, Frank. He's just trying to not do anything.
I mean, I feel like if you're Chris, you just play smart here and you can't lose this game. And there's a Genesis Hider on top, and that's pretty much good. Chris can almost Genesis Hider for like 20 mana right now.
They're in turns now? Alright, so this will be turn 0 or 1.
Yeah, Chris is just making satyrs here.
He's making it rain satyrs here.
I can imagine Chris casting Genesis Hider for like 20 mana next turn just for funsies.
Just to get his Dragon Lord to Tarka?
Yeah, just to see what you hit. Maybe you hit an Ugin.
Yeah, this board is just absurd at this point.
It's pretty disgusting.
You know, we've been on this game for a little while, but just...
Yeah, this is like
now, like as a snapshot. This
just
is
creatures
on
top of creatures on top of creatures.
Your eyes kind of glaze over it, like what is actually happening here?
This is, to be fair, this is the most Rashad Millers I've ever seen in one place.
Yeah, it's true. I've seen a lot of Rashad Miller.
Look how happy those B tokens are.
Looks like he's going to start chipping away here. Attacking for 4 now, dropping Lauren Nolan down to 14.
Hey, buddy, in 5 turns, you're dead. When you're in turns, I don't even know if there's a point to that. Because you don't have enough time, at that rate, you don't have enough time to close the game out. It's an interesting decision from Chris.
Yeah, I mean, he's in kind of a weird spot. He's not really super incentivized to try to close the game out.
Yeah, right. It's like...
Yeah. I mean, the rules are that if this game ends without a winner, then Finel wins the match.
Yeah,
and
if you're the player with the first game win.
Yeah.
In game 2 of a match wins the match if you go to time.
Yeah, he wins 1-0, and it's really on Lauren Nolan to pick up this game to try to force a draw here, and Finel being ahead on board with a bunch of properly defensive creatures, the Death Touchers, the huge blockers on the ground, the Hydra, the Plukranos, it just doesn't have an incentive to get in there.
And my biggest concern as Chris would be like if Lauren can amass 20 mana to Crater's Claws me with Ferocious and just kill me. But I don't think that's happening. So Nykthos only produces 5 here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He can only make 12 mana. So he's a ways off. Actually, I wonder if Chris did the math and he realized if I get Lauren to 14, I can just alpha and win.
He may have. I would be surprised to see him.
There's also
like the thing that you're thinking if you're Finel is more along the lines of, well, how do I lose this game?
Right.
Well, like, because that's just a disaster.
But here's the thing about that: he knows Lauren has 1 Crater's Claws, right? So let's say Lauren, on his turn 3, Crater's Claws is you for 10. If he untaps and draws another Crater's Claws, he could just win. He could just kill you. If you don't try to kill him before that happens, like knowing that Lauren didn't do that though, and Chris attacked before Nolan made that decision, but knowing that's an option for Lauren to just draw another Crater's Claws means that he could be on a Crater's Claws plan and just like 10-10.
Sure. I mean, he can do it for I think 11 right now.
Right, but you only have to do it for like 9 on one turn, so you can save a couple blockers perhaps, and then just do the remaining 12 the next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, so turn 2, you can see that die down there between the 2 libraries. That's what turn we're on.
Okay, so we're actually, yeah, we're pretty early in the turns, which means... Yeah, so that means basically, like, Chris might just be trying to close the game before that happens, because that is a risk. Like, the Doubles Creators Clause was a risk. I'm not sure if we're on... Yeah, we're on 2, so... So Lauren gets the 3rd turn and the 5th turn, it looks like.
Yeah, this is just a lot to process, right? Like, if you're Finel, you know one of his cards is irrelevant here. It's a sorcery. You don't know the other card. You can simply count up how many creatures he has, how many you have, line up every single possible block, do all the math, and then figure out, well, what's the worst possible case scenario for a card that my opponent can have that's the other card besides Creator's Clause? Do I win or lose in that scenario?
And the other thing is...
It's just hard to do. Look at all these creatures. It's like...
And you know the Red-Green Devotion deck doesn't have a lot of... it doesn't have any instants, so like all the tricks are on board right now. Lauren does have a Pelucranos that he can activate.
Yes, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of tricky things on board right now.
Bunch of mana. All right, here's that Genesis Hydra. Let's do it. Let's go big, Chris Finel.
Or go home.
He could just do it for 5 to get Nissa Worldwaker. Has he plus Xenagos?
I'm not sure. I think Lauren's counting up his devotion right now.
I think he's counting up his creatures and his devotion. Yes, that's what he did. Wow, this is going to be for a ton.
1, 2,
4, 6, 8, 10, 11,
5,
12,
6,
13, 14,
7.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I got like 28-ish.
14.
Like total mana.
Oh, I think he just did it for 13. I think he might have just used Nykthos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Well, that's less fun.
That is less fun. Maybe not. No, maybe he was going I don't even know. There's a lot of cards in his hand
If he did it for 13, I hope he misses.
Well, we know he's hitting at least a Nissa.
Yeah.
Have some class, Chris Finel. Go big or go home.
No, he knew he was hitting a 5er no matter what. So. Looks like he has also found a Pelucranos.
Yep.
Which he will still have the mana for.
Yeah, and that might be why he did that, because like he has a lot of mana left over. So.
Totally, yeah. He could be trying to set up a win here by using Xenagos plus his available untapped mana to clear out 2 or 3 blockers. Rumble on in there.
The other option is he might have activated Xenagos, then activated Nykthos off of that, because I don't see any tapped mana from him right now, except for the Nykthos.
Judging by the...
and then he might have just saved a bunch of mana. He might just have a ton floating right now.
Yeah, it's just too hard for us to say from here. But, you know, judging by the relative volume in the room, I'd say this is probably the last match outstanding.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
This one's just a mess.
He does a hand of frustration for Chris. There's just so many
he's talking through it, I think. You know, I think he's working through all of this stuff in his head. It's just a lot to work through.
And I feel like nothing would be worse than just losing this game, you know? But this is one of those intricate decks in Standard because there's so many... All your cards do things. And you can just produce a ton of mana out of nowhere. I mean, like, even if Lauren drew a Xenagos and he plussed it, he can net 4 mana. Costs 4, he gets 8 mana from all his creatures, so he's netting 4 mana. Like, if he drew another Nykthos, he could replace his Nykthos, add it. Like, it's just, there's so many cards that just can, like, they're almost like rituals. I think he's just taking Pelucranos here. But he also has a Pelucranos on board, so one dies. But I think he just wants the ability to monstrous it.
I'm actually surprised the judge isn't making sure that this just moves.
Proceeds at a reasonable
they're
pace.
In turn, so it's not like there's anything like that. It's just
he's not going to slow play.
I mean, that Genesis Hydra was a couple of minutes. Like this has been a, and I get it. Like he's got to process through a whole heck of a lot of stuff.
I agree.
But also, the show must go on here. All right, so he's decided on a Polukranos, revealing a Whisperwood. Thank you.
I will have a great day.
Random guy.
Don't tell me what to do.
I don't think he knew we were on the air.
Dad.
All right, Frank. Well, let me know when something happens here.
You're gonna take a little nap?
Yeah, I'll be over here.
Okay.
Yeah. Conserving energy is how I like to.
This is still Chris's turn. This is.
Well, I mean, Polukranos just hit the bat. Like the entire turn has been play a Genesis Hydra, forget to put counters on it, play my Polukranos.
Yeah.
That's what we've done so far.
Oh man.
We're still working forward. Yeah, we could be out of dice. That's true. We have used a lot of our coverage dice on this table.
There are 9 dice in play right now, including the turn die.
All right. Well, we got that stage done.
Oh, we did have 2 more. Thank goodness. Oh, 3 more. Okay, so he did the Genesis Hydra for 13, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's what I said, right?
It is exactly what you said, Frank.
I nailed it. I was watching those hand gestures.
Now he's going to need more dice, though, because it looks like he might be lining up a big Polukranos activation here as well. Though if he wants to go really big, he's going to need to use his Xenaghost. But, of course, you have to look at the other side of the board and see that there's another Polukranos over there just waiting to react
himself,
here.
yeah.
So I wonder if Finel, after all of this, is going to end up just being like,
it's not even,
just don't draw another Creator's Clause. Because like you said, Nolan does get turns 3 and 5. So his turn could be draw a card.
Yeah.
Creator's Clause you for 10 or 11.
The
turn back.
The issue with that is that he has to tap a lot of his 4/4 forests, which might put him inside of just alpha range.
Oh, for sure.
So that's what I mean. There's a lot of different factors here. Like the fact that Lauren's mana is creatures right now is just like. These guys are both having a very tricky time.
Yeah, I mean, just figuring out how much mana, like Finel has available, floating and stuff is. Oh, absolutely.
Oh man.
And they're counting up his mana now, which is hard. I mean, to be honest, like there is a lot going on. I don't even want to do it. I don't want to do it. We did it once already.
That's enough for me.
Is it lunchtime yet?
Yeah, it feels like it. This is just a lot of creatures on Chris's side of the board. I feel like an Armageddon would be real good for Chris right now. Gets rid of all the 4/4s. Crystal has a Xenaghost to make 15,000 mana each turn. I feel like both of these guys are doing very complex mathematic equations right now. Divide by 12, carry the 1.
Definitely feels like we're watching people do very complex mathematic equations.
Yeah,
right? All right, so he's going to Monstrous in response.
This is like Red-Green Devotion versus Red-Green Devotion, the John Nash story.
So make a bunch of mana. Nolan.
What's happening right now?
He's
responding to Polukranos? Okay.
Yeah. And he's starting off by fighting the original Polukranos so that it doesn't get to do its thing.
But by tapping these forests, can't Chris just attack?
Well, that's what he has to figure out now, is that being at 14 for Lauren, Chris, has infinite power of. Remember, the new Genesis Hydra is summoning sick, but The old one, the tiny little 7/7, isn't.
And Chris has
the Colossus isn't.
6 power in the air. At
6 power in the air to put Lauren basically to de facto 8 here.
Yeah.
I don't think that Chris has used Xenaghost this turn, so he's got another Satyr to add to the board.
I don't think he has either.
No, not that one. Oh no! Our turn counter.
No, we're using that.
Well, we're on 2.
You can't just pick up any die.
And then he just throws it away. All right.
No, guess we're using it. All right. And it has been replaced.
Table judge.
Yeah, you got it on 5, but now the tricky part is what do you do with that 5? Oh my goodness, this is just a...
This has just been a grueling transaction. So he just re-monstrous for 1. That's pretty sweet.
Oh.
It only... You can do monstrous anytime you want, as long as it's not monstrous.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
So if I can monstrous and then in response monstrous 4 more times.
That was pretty sweet. I think Finel maybe just got him.
That's a great next level there. Plus I was thinking Lauren might be like, okay, I'll take out your B tokens in response, you know, but he didn't. He just tried to kill the Pelucranos to prevent the monstrous to begin with. But now he just keeps the Bs and the Pelucranos, so...
Is there a judge call happening now about how monstrous works? I saw another hand enter the frame. That usually means there's a judge there. Can we go to the wide shot for a minute? I can't stand to look at this board state anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely a judge call.
This is infinitely more interesting.
Well, we don't know what's going on exactly right now, but...
I think it's pretty clear that they're discussing how monstrous works with Pelucranos. Yeah, so they're getting clarification on that to make sure that all the players, or both players I should say, are on the same page with it and how exactly this interaction is going to work.
Lauren might be like, well, he just monstrous it. Can he do it again? And he's like, yeah, it's not monstrous. As long as the monstrous actually says, as long as this creature is not monstrous. Which it was not. So Nolan has 5 blockers. I don't know what this is. This is some... Oh, that was the Xenaghost label.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so 1, 2... I don't think he has enough to break through, though. Chris does get 1 more turn. He gets a turn 4. So he does on 4, puts him to 10. I don't know what that does.
Alright, so here we are on turn 3 now. And he draws an elf, so it's all moot.
He gets 1 more turn, though.
So is he just gonna... He has to fire off the Crater's Claws now then, right?
And then, yeah, his only hope is that he top decks another Crater's Claws.
And that Chris doesn't just kill him. And even then, I don't think it works out just because of the mana here, right?
Right, and if you're tapping your blockers to Crater's Claws.
Right, that's the problem.
Also, worth noting that Lauren Nolan only has 1 Crater's Claws in the entire 75.
Okay,
so
well, that is certainly worth noting as well, Frank. Yeah, so we're just...
That's just that plan is just not a plan. Yeah, I feel like if I was just... If as soon as Nolan passes, if I was Chris Finel, I would just pass back without even...
I agree.
I'd just be like, go. Can you deal me...
Like, I would make sure I don't have lethal for sure, and then I would say go. So this is what, for 7?
Yeah, I think he's hitting Chris 8? With maybe the threat of doing that.
It was for 9.
And maybe hoping Chris misplays?
Oh, it's for 10, actually.
Yeah, it's because he did it for 9, and then he did it for 8, and then he added 2 more for Ferocious, so.
Right.
Right now his devotion is, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What is going on here? These guys just can't get this.
So, like, are we sure it's monstrous?
Put the nails in this coffin. Chris gets one more turn, then Lauren gets a turn, and then Chris is going to win the match 1-0.
That is the predicted outcome.
That's the. Looks like that's the line here.
The line is winning this game. So I would recommend that line.
Can you go to the wide shot again, War Monks? There's somebody in the way? Okay. Alright, so we've got our head judge in there now.
Man, we're really looking at Pelucranos here.
It is a weird interaction. Strangely, I don't recall seeing that very many times. Monstrous,
yeah, that's true.
Monstrous, remonstrous. Yeah, it doesn't happen that much.
But it literally states on the card, if this is not monstrous, do this. So like the first time, the most recent time that it resolves, it would do that, and then the third time it resolves, it would not. It wouldn't do it because it says if it is not monstrous. Yeah.
It must fight something.
Oh, it does. It fights. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it did. So his Pelucranos does end up dying, does Chris's, because it must fight something. It says, when Pelucranos World Eater becomes monstrous, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures your opponents control. Each of those creatures deals damage equal to its power to Pelucranos.
So Chris's Pelucranos dealt 1 to the other Pelucranos with the intent of surviving. But that Pelucranos did 5 to the other Pelucranos. It's 5 to the 6/6. Then Lauren still resolves and deals 5 to the Pelucranos. So now Pelucranos has 10 damage on it, essentially.
Okay, so that's what happened. All right. I'll buy it. Now they're in turn 4.
So my question, if that's the case, why is it still on the board?
Maybe they couldn't back it up.
Oh yeah, it might just be. The game state might have just progressed too far.
This has been a truly absurd game.
I agree.
Like, in kind of a cool way, and in kind of like a this is taking a while way.
Yeah, just kind of like.
Yeah, but it's been one of those. I mean, look at this board. Like,
this is ridiculous.
Just
board, yeah.
Take a snapshot of this and say, yeah, here, you figure this out.
Is,
right?
Yeah, it's like Magic's the puzzling at its finest.
This is very, very difficult. Now, Chris Finel does have the luxury of being up a game, so he can say, all right, this is just too much, go, like, try to beat me.
Yeah, the reason the Pelucranos is still on board is that you just can't back it up. The damage is done.
But it was supposed to die.
Right.
Okay.
In theory, that Pelucranos should be dead. Sometimes you eat the world, sometimes the world eats you.
And here's the part where Finel lines up a bunch of attacks.
I mean, that Pelucranos is living on borrowed time anyway, man. You might as well just attack with it.
He knows Lawrence only got 1 card left in his hand.
Feels like there's no way attacking here is correct, right?
Well, it depends. I mean, he should have a pretty good idea of what Lauren's up to, mana-wise, and cards left, you know, possible cards. And he can just do the math and just say, okay, well, how many creatures do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. If you block my 9 biggest things, how much do I get in for? Is it more than 10?
That's simple mathematics, right?
Yeah, like, well, I wouldn't call it simple. This is a pretty insane board, and he also has to factor in that the Arbor Colossus can go monstrous itself,
which makes it a 9/9. So that's getting blocked and without trample. See, like that's what I mean. Like like none of his guys have trample.
No.
So blocking a 10/10 is still blocked. You know. Plus, you get another creature with Xenagos.
And then he has to consider the fact that Lauren could draw another Crater's Claws. Now, we know that's not possible.
But Chris does not know how many
Chris doesn't know 100% sure about that. Yeah, he probably assumes that Lauren's going to play a stock list, but maybe Lauren's like, I really like the Crater's Claws. I run all 4.
It's a good catch.
I run 2 out of the board, whatever. And he can let himself get top decked into a draw here. And if he just doesn't, you know, if it's just because he didn't feel like taking the time to figure out the math.
We're just moving to Lauren's turn. Turn 4.
And we're done. All right, GG.
Got him. Woo. Woo.
Well, that was an ordeal.
That was an ordeal of Thassa right there.
Let's get these. Let's get that match slip signed, gentlemen, and we'll move on. That went forever. ever. That was absurd.